The second half of the season starts with the European Grand Prix. Race 9 round the Nürburgring. Michael Schumacher coming home as the new championship leader. Hello there. Well, this is Schumi territory and the ringmaster tends to deliver. 3 podiums and 2 victories in the last 3 years. But his hopes of starting out on pole were frozen out in a gripping finale to qualifying 2. Olivier Panis is quickest of the early runners. Genuine encouragement that for Toyota close to their headquarters in Cologne. And Ralph Furman hooks up well in the Jordan, probably his best qualifying lap so far. An unexpected boost for Jarno Trulli, slick and mistake-free, good enough to put the Renault on the 3rd row. When the big hitters arrive, it's absolutely compelling. Ralf Schumacher, always in Michael's shadow here, chases his 3rd successive pole. That's very tasty. Here's Michael. A small mistake is crucial, but that's still a very impressive time. Only Raikkonen to go, and remember, he got it all wrong last time in Canada. This is racing under pressure. The Finn in Schumacher's backyard as well. But what a talent. The first pole of his career, McLaren's first of the season, and what a session. Just 0.3 of a second covering the top 5. 8 Michelin runners in the top 10. The Ferrari is the only exception. Michael Schumacher starting on the dirtier inside line. Barrichello, last year's winner, behind the Williams pair. Ralf Schumacher just a day off his 28th birthday. Panis 7th. It's Coulthard's 150th race. He's finished this one 5 times, all in 3rd place. Jenson Button, the first Bridgestone runner behind the Ferraris. 14th, best yet for Furman. Villeneuve's won here twice. It's a ton up for Verstappen, his 100th Grand Prix. Heidfeld spun off early and didn't record a time. It's the best of the European Grand Prix in the company of Martin Brundle and James Allen.
When the 5 lights go out, we'll be racing. Turn up the volume button and enjoy the sound. Here we go. Away they go then. Great start from Raikkonen. Schumacher slow away. Ralf Schumacher is attacking him. Down the outside, he's in front. Ralf Schumacher's got his brother, and they said he couldn't pass him. Well, already in this Grand Prix, he's proved them wrong. Barrichello goes wide on the outside. One of the 2 Renaults has done very well off the start line. He's side by side with Montoya, and a Jag looks like it's blown up. Or so no, it's tyre smoke, I think. Mark Webber tyre smoke. But what a move there by Ralf Schumacher off the start line.
Yes, indeed, and everybody got away particularly well on the left hand, the normal race line, as it were, of the grid. 2 Renaults are line astern, so one of them's had a reasonable start, and Raikkonen leads comfortably then from Ralf Schumacher. Michael Schumacher, Barrichello up to 4th. And Montoya then slipping back to 5th. Then it's Trulli, Alonso, Panis, Coulthard, D'Amata is 10th.
You're absolutely right, Martin. It was the outside lane of the track, the one where the cars go down, where the most rubber is, that seems to have had a massive benefit to those that were starting on it. Michael Schumacher's lost out. Barrichello has gained. Montoya lost out. It was very consistent off the start line. And all of that is terrific news, not just for Kimi Raikkonen, but also for Ralf Schumacher. He's put 1 bogey behind him, then he's passed his brother on the racetrack.
Yeah, been a bit of talk about that, hasn't there, this weekend, but a great run from him down to the first corner. Raikkonen stretching that lead nicely, and he will be delighted to see a Williams in his mirrors rather than a Ferrari. Barrichello will be pleased with 4th. There's the 2 Renaults, Panis, Coulthard, D'Amata, Button, Webber, Furman. Was that Furman I saw there? Yes, up to P13. He's passed his teammate Fisichella somewhere.
He's 3 places ahead of Fisichella on the grid. This is one of the strongest weekends so far for Ralf Furman. He was very good in qualifying yesterday, just 0.3 of a second slower than Fisichella, which for a rookie on his first visit to the circuit, I think everyone will agree, is a fine effort, and he's now 3 places ahead of him. So that's a good job. Raikkonen leading, Ralf Schumacher just over a second behind him. Michael Schumacher's 3rd, Barrichello 4th, Montoya in 5th. Trulli 6th, 7th is Alonso. 8th, and the last of the points paying positions at the moment is the Toyota of Olivier Panis. David Coulthard is still where he started. There he is in 9th place. D'Amata in the 2nd Toyota just behind him, and Jenson Button is 11th. The rest of the Brits. Wilson, has he had his customary great start? No, he hasn't actually. He is down in 18th place, and we mentioned Furman, he's 13th.
At least Wilson's ahead of Villeneuve, though. I don't know what happened to Jacques on the first lap, but Jacques Villeneuve down in 19th. Heidfeld starting from the pit lane is 20th. Fisichella, the big loser though on the start, lost 3 places. Here is, as it looks, from Michael Schumacher. He started on the front row of the grid in 2nd, but look, Ralph easily driving past him down to that first corner. Then it's very tight behind. Montoya, the 2 Renaults, Panis screaming down the outside in the Toyota, and that worked very well for him. And the Jaguar was smoking, James. The Jaguar Weber was smoking, probably just a little overfill or pressurization in the engine there. Ralph so nearly locking up and going into the back of Kimi Raikkonen there. Schumacher, Michael having to settle for 3rd then on the opening lap, and that's where he remains as they enter lap 3.
So let's just talk a little bit then, Martin, about the challenge of Kimi Raikkonen. Obviously in Canada he had a pretty terrible time. He binned it in qualifying, started from the pit lane, managed to fight his way up through the field. But Ron Dennis talked yesterday of a maturity, a growing maturity with Kimi Raikkonen, and he felt that the qualifying performance yesterday was a good example of it. He's out front now in the Grand Prix, looking for his 2nd victory of the season, one which will get him back on terms with Michael Schumacher in the championship. Just tell us a bit about the pressure on his shoulders.
Well, he doesn't appear to even notice it, does he? I mean, he delivered up yesterday under the most extreme of pressure circumstances I can imagine, with a 1-lap effort and a great expectation on you. Now he's just pulling away from this lot. He's 2.6 seconds up, lapping 9/10 of a second faster, and look at the lead he's got. He just seems to be totally comfortable with himself and the car, and the other older hands don't affect him. And that's a sign of a true champion, no doubt about it.
Villeneuve having a little bit of a look then into the left-hander, can't make it stick. Down through the bit curve then, over 100 miles an hour, onto the back straight.
Surely Jacques can do it now. Get in the slipstream. There is a big stop at the end of this, an equal level of grip from side to side on the track. He now has the right position and he should easily make that move. Villeneuve will now be released and can get underway. But that was really his easiest and best chance, and he took it nicely.
So Villeneuve goes up into 17th place, Verstappen drops to 18th, and Villeneuve starts to drive away a little bit. Jos the boss, nice to see him battling there. Wilson, you just saw at the top of your screens. So Raikkonen leading on lap 9. Heidfeld having a bit of a go side by side with Verstappen, and he makes it stick. That's where Heidfeld went off in qualifying. Verstappen's making it hard for him though. A nice bit of overtaking, 2 passes then in a sequence of a few corners. And oh, Villeneuve's binned it. He's managed to control it though. Well, we had a huge aquaplane in Friday qualifying, went straight on at the hairpin. Not at all his fault. On a very, very wet track, he was on the wrong tyres, but there he just appeared to drop it.
Well, he was pushing hard, wasn't he? He finally cleared the Minardi. He's got some track in front of him, just wanted to get on with it. There was a gap of some 11 seconds to the main midfield pack, and there, got some understeer in turn 2. Managed to keep it all together, bits and pieces of carbon fibre coming off from underneath the front wing and underneath the strakes that run underneath the car. So he will not be handling as well as he was, and he's got to do it all over again, except now it's 2 Minardis and a Sauber. Interesting though, James, this last couple of laps, they've normalised Raikkonen's pace. Everybody's now, Raikkonen's just done a 32.9, the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, and the other players are in the 33, low 33, so Raikkonen's just stretched the lead one more time to 7.3. But the 2 previous laps, they pegged him, and the Grand Prix suddenly stabilised for the first time. Raikkonen, they stopped him pulling away from them.
Well, maybe he was either taking a breather or giving the tyres a bit of a breather, but his pace the same for those 2 laps as Ralf Schumacher and Michael Schumacher behind him. Give you an idea of the overall picture then of this Grand Prix. From the start, Kimi Raikkonen taking the lead, Ralf Schumacher jumping Michael Schumacher. He is 7.3 seconds behind race leader Raikkonen as Villeneuve thinks about an attack on Wilson here.
We're going to see a pass here, unless Wilson covers the inside line, which he hasn't done. He's left Jacques exactly the line he needed, and Jacques has been getting too feisty in the 2 corners before that. There's no point, you'll never get through in those. But if you just come out of the bit curve well, he's got the straight line speed and the better downforce and braking capacity. And well, he's pulled the same manoeuvre now on both Minardis.
Yeah, I think that was actually Verstappen. Let me just see. Yeah, that was Verstappen. The two Minardis have switched order.
Ted.
Well, Martin, you're talking about the Renaults. I've got to say, actually, they're looking pretty good in this. The lap times suggest that they are going to run longer than the Williams.
Ted, must interrupt you, sorry. Jacques Villeneuve's front wing has come undone. I wonder whether he's hit the chicane bollards that we were talking about before, because certainly a number of people done that this weekend, and the man who was giving us the best fight of the Grand Prix has now knocked his front wing off, Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah, we saw him spin off exactly here where he is now, so either the damage was done there, we did see pieces of carbon flicking up in the air. I think more likely he's given the bollards a whack at the chicane. So that somewhat concludes a miserable first part of the Grand Prix. He will stop, have a new nose and read. There we go, look, yeah, it was the bollard on the right-hand side, driver error, and they'll change the nose, but that will leave him back at the tail end of the field again. At the moment, the two Jordans are 19th and 20th.
And so here comes Jacques Villeneuve with damaged wing.
And truly in the pits, truly from P6 into the pits then.
Losing a track position to David Coulthard and Cristiano De Matta in the process. Jarno Trulli.
As ever, they'll have to manhandle Villeneuve's car up into the air. The jack lifts the car on the front wing, can't do that. Front wing's broken. Truly stop is, that's not a lot of fuel in there. So if they're truly three stopping, James, I'd have thought that'd have been nearer 7, early 7s, but we don't know exactly who presses that stopwatch button and whether he knows the fuel's going in at that moment or not. And if he was going to try and do a long middle stint, he needed more fuel than that.
Yeah, he's going to do about 20-21 laps on the fuel load he's taken on board there. That'll take him to lap 37. So it's pretty much a two-stop strategy. Here comes Panis then. Having had that spin, lost track position, he's now, as you can see, he's behind Jenson Button. So Button is just gone out, he's made a stop himself, waiting for the computer to sort itself out, but Button was running in 10th place. Look at this though, McLaren getting ready. Kimi Raikkonen out front on lap 16, into the pit lane then for the race leader. He didn't have as much fuel on board as we thought.
That's surprising, isn't it? That surprised a lot of people in the paddock, certainly surprised me. And there's a Ferrari expected in soon too. So they've all fueled, they've all been edged into fueling quite short. Raikkonen had a 5.4 second lead. He'd had to coast in the pits for that. And in behind him then is Michael Schumacher. Away goes Raikkonen with a solid stop. Nothing spectacular.
No, nothing spectacular, but a solid two-stop strategy. Michael Schumacher's time almost identical. We talked about this being close, didn't we? They're on similar strategies, almost nothing to choose between them. But the lead of the race has now been handed to Ralf Schumacher on lap 17 of this Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Barrichello is second, and Montoya should be in third place, I believe, after the stops of previous race leader Raikkonen and Michael Schumacher. But as we said before, all the front runners expected in within 2 or 3 laps of each other. Montoya is second as Barrichello, who was third, comes into the pits.
Williams 1-2 then. Be interesting to see how far they could go. Bernie Ecclestone's tip for the win this afternoon. And if they stay out for another 3 or 4 laps, that might be rather smart.
Well, we saw Michael Schumacher looking over the shoulder of the FIA guys, weighing Kimi Raikkonen's car after qualifying yesterday. So he knew that information. And you can see there Michael Schumacher sailing past his teammate. Obviously Bernie's privy to it too. He knew how much fuel was in the cars. Perhaps he's privy to it, I don't know. But maybe he knew something that the other competitors didn't. Namely, how much fuel is in the 2 Williams of Ralf Schumacher and Juan Montoya. They're lapping in the low 1 minute 33s at the moment in this Grand Prix. Alonso on the same sort of pace in 4th place. Coulthard hasn't made a stop yet. He's also lapping at the same kind of pace at the moment. Kimi Raikkonen has rejoined in 6th place after his stop. Michael Schumacher has rejoined in 7th, still 8 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen.
Looking lonely out there for Ralf Schumacher at the moment. He's got a 6.3 second advantage over Montoya, who's not really had a great pace so far in the Grand Prix. He's held station. He's been there or thereabouts, but nothing like the sort of stunning pace we saw from him, and he pits, so Williams are not going that much further. You can assume Ralf will be in quite soon too. We've got to expect Coulthard in the pits. Normally the McLarens run with a pretty similar fuel level too, but Montoya not shown that stunning pace he had 2 weeks ago in Montreal. Nonetheless, he's still in the hunt for the afternoon. Alonso pits, Coulthard pits too, so currently 2nd, 3rd and 4th place men into the pit. There's the Renault of Alonso, a little front wing change. We saw that his pace wasn't as good as it may have been, and we haven't got a clock on Coulthard. Montoya's away, so is the Renault of Alonso, so they're pretty much leaving the pit absolutely as they arrived, in the same order, and a slightly tardy stop for Coulthard. Maybe they got a bit more fuel into that car, and look, he doesn't quite clear truly either, so Coulthard will be pleased to see the back of the front runners in terms of he's now coming into the hunt, but he'll be disappointed that didn't clear the Renault. Barrichello scything his way through the back. Marcus Heidfeld, who started from the pit lane, was running 10th, has now pitted, so he's on a normal two-stopper. Don't think there's a lot of point in carrying too much fuel around here. The penalty's too high. Ted?
Yes, I was watching David Coulthard's lap time just before Ralph stopped. It was 9 seconds worth of fuel time, so he'll be able to run longer than Alonso and Montoya. 8.5 seconds, the target about for Ralph's stop here. They're making a small adjustment to the front wing. New Michelin's on. There's no problem with the fuel. He's off. That's a good stop from Williams. 7 seconds, 7.7.
Yep, second Grand Prix in succession that the Williams stop has been very, very sharp indeed. He's racing against his brother here. There's the race leader, the new race leader, Kimi Räikkönen. There's Michael Schumacher in the background, and so Ralf Schumacher comfortably back out in front of his brother, and if anything, he's increased the margin by perhaps half to 3/4 of a second over the course of that stint. So Ralf really, this Grand Prix, making it count his strategy. Nastily balked there, though, it looked like, by Minardi. He is being balked.
Yeah, Wilson not really ready to yield, but he's rally crossing around the outside, and Ralph says, yeah, good luck to you, you're better off out there because I need to get on. He knows how crucial these outlaps are, and has lost him a second or two already, and it's, you know, so tight in Grand Prix this season. It's those sort of moments that can make a difference at the end of the final lap. Justin Wilson there getting well sideways, and Ralph, hey, what are you doing? To be fair to Justin, Ralph came out of the pit lane, probably out of view. Justin's in the middle of his own hard race with Verstappen and Fisichella and co, and he was just minding his own business. I'm sure he would have yielded down the next straight. As it happens, he didn't have to because Justin made a bit of a mistake.
On board then with Olivier Panis chasing down Button.
Fastest man on the track still Kimi Räikkönen, but Ralf Schumacher's pegging him. The gap still 4.3 seconds. Right, the quick pit stop of Williams and the ins and outs of Ralf Schumacher, he halved the deficit and now has the young Finn certainly clearly in his sights. He'll be on the same straight most of the time, and it's race on, I think. Michael Schumacher just beginning to slip back slightly from them. He's 9 seconds off the lead in third place. Barrichello 5 seconds further behind him. Alonso, Trulli and Coulthard in very close company, lapping in the 1:34s. Here's the race leader. What are we going to see here as a replay? And that's just about perfect how you want to hit those bollards. Let's hope he didn't collect the next one with the wing. He didn't collect it at all, hardly. So you can bash it with the tyre, don't touch it with the nose. And remember, of course, behind the wheel, you can't see the nose. You haven't really got a clue. It's like driving an E-Type Jag. You don't really quite know where the front of the car finishes.
Mr. Huppert there on the wall, the top man at Mercedes-Benz. Cristiano De Mata coming in for his second stop of the afternoon, so I don't know if this is scheduled or whether he's not happy with the balance of his second set of tyres. Bit of work going on there, front right-hand corner, I should say. Nose change for Cristiano De Mata. Maybe he has tagged one of those bollards. Slick work though by the Toyota boys. Putting the new nose on, fuel and tyres in under 15 seconds. Don't cross that white line, Cristiano. No, he doesn't.
It looks like the nose is held on with Lego bricks or with Velcro or something. I've never seen. That was a tremendous nose change on that car. They've got a great system on that for a change of nose, and the front wing, of course, connected to that. And it's quite complex, that piece of carbon fibre and honeycomb, because that's where the crash test zone is, and a clever piece of kit, and it weighs virtually nothing. But usually, because it's so pivotal with the crash testing program, they have to be really bolted on. That's a great system they got on that Toyota.
Not to mention the amount of air, the downforce being generated by that front wing. It's a big, big load as the air passes down over it and pushes it down onto the track. Well, we found out this weekend how much one of those things is costs, because a number of the boys have knocked them off. As I said, Jenson Button knocked 3 off on Friday. and we found out that it's £20,000 each, and Raikkonen has blown up. I don't believe it. Out front, looking for his second Grand Prix of the season, and the left bank of Mercedes-Benz V10 cylinders has gone, and Kimi Raikkonen is out of the Grand Prix. What a terrible, terrible luck for him.
He'll be about as popular as a toothache if he keeps driving it on the line like that. He's losing fluid out of the left-hand side pod. Raikkonen clearly out of the race, not going to make it back to the pits, and what a shame. 4.8 seconds was his lead. Ralph certainly had him covered, but didn't have the ability to catch him, and Kimi Raikkonen, not a happy bunny, gets out of the car. And I know what it's like, you're sweaty, you're disappointed, and the marshals touch you. Even if they just touch you, you just feel you want to push everybody away from you. You don't want anybody in your personal space at that time. You just are so unhappy when your car fails like that.
Mario Ilian there, the engine builder from Mercedes. And here's a replay of what we all know is the inevitable big trail of telltale white smoke. And Kimi Raikkonen's Grand Prix is at an end. Talking about people jostling off marshals, remember James Hunt actually punched one. Do you remember escorting him away from his car? James turned around and walloped him one, and Raikkonen dejected. The gloves go down, and that is a very, very bad afternoon for Kimi Raikkonen and for Mario Ilian. Into the pits then comes the second of the two Jordans on its three-stop strategy. Teammate Furman 16th, Fisichella was 15th, but unless this is a remarkably quick lap or he's had a very quick in-lap, he's likely to rejoin behind his teammate once again. And a frustrating afternoon. There is Furman. It's going to be touch and go actually this. I think he's in front of him. So he has had a very good in-lap as Fisichella.
Yeah, it's the next scrap to watch. Jordans are down there in sort of 15th, 16th zone. The next scrap to watch though is Montoya's catching Barrichello for third and fourth. It's Michael Schumacher, he's second, he's 3.6 behind, and it's yo-yoing around in terms of pace. Gains a 10th, loses a 10th, and there that's 3.6 on the racetrack as Michael's coming down the hill. Already Ralph at the apex of the Dunlop curve. Barrichello just 1.1 ahead of Montoya now, just behind this fight. They're 5 seconds behind this battle between the two Schumachers.
Here's Ferrari getting ready again for a stop. First time round, it was Schumacher who came in before Barrichello by a lap. What's the story going to be here, I wonder? There's one of the two Ferraris. It's Michael Schumacher, and he pits from second place. So that's 36, a couple of laps out from our calculations, but nevertheless here he is into the pits.
Yes, nobody really knows exactly when that nozzle goes on and when the fuel starts to flow, but everybody's ready for him. The second and final scheduled stop of the afternoon. New tyres, more fuel than at any other time in this Grand Prix, and that's why it's a 10-second. In fact, he was away before that stopwatch was clicked off. But of course, we're 37 laps into a 60-lap race, so he's clearly got to put and carry more fuel than at any other time, and he's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. He's coming out just behind the Coulthard 2 Renault scrap ahead of him there now, and that's for track position, so they're not going to yield. He's not going to have the advantage of blue flags waving, even if he's got more speed with that heavier fuel load at this stage. But of course we know that Coulthard, the 2 Renaults, will be pitting, but I don't think for 2 or 3 laps yet. So Michael Schumacher will be slightly disappointed to see that little entourage in front of him.
Into the pits then, the second of the 2 Ferraris, Rubens Barrichello from 4th.
And we can see out of the window here, I can see McLaren ready too, which can only of course be for David Coulthard with Raikkonen out of the Grand Prix. So Coulthard stopping earlier than we expected. Here goes the 2 Renaults, and goes Coulthard past the commentary box here, so he didn't pit, and the McLaren mechanics move away. So maybe they're just trying to dupe somebody in the pit lane, but Coulthard not pitting. The McLaren mechanics were definitely there though.
Yeah, they were definitely there. Maybe they're trying to make Renault think they were doing something different. The battles then between Trulli and Alonso and Coulthard. Coulthard trying to get in front of those two. It'll make a huge difference to his payday in terms of points. And the other great scrap to watch out for is Barrichello, who's just pitted and Montoya, who will pit in a few laps' time. Montoya trying to get past Rubens Barrichello in this Grand Prix and get third place. Ted, what can you tell us?
There's certainly a bit of psychology going on there. Renault were looking quizzically at McLaren when they came out, and then there was a little play between a couple of mechanics, a couple of thumbs up, a couple of funny looks. Renault are out now. I can only assume David Coulthard may have had some problem on the current set of tyres that he's on, but he's elected to go further as he can into this race. Renault ready now.
Yes, and Coulthard's now within a second of the Renaults, but we've lost. That's Alonso, isn't it? No, it's Trulli. He's got the look at the yellow band on the camera. That is Jarno Trulli at a crucial part of the Grand Prix, and Trulli out then. So all falling apart for Renault. Coulthard just a second and a half behind them, and Panis off the road in turn one for the second time this afternoon. And has he got a box full of neutrals, or has he lost the engine?
Well, it's certainly not going anywhere, is it? That retirement for Jarno Trulli, his third of this season. His teammate Alonso has only failed to finish once. They have had tremendous reliability, the Renault team. Panis, however, he's had a very frustrating time. He's actually only had seen the checkered flag 3 times this season so far. Very frustrating for him. Alonso into the pits, though. And this is what David Coulthard wanted. Hopefully he can jump this Renault and get himself further up into the points-paying positions after a disappointing qualifying.
Now Coulthard's got to go. If we're right and he's got another 2 or 3 laps of fuel on board, he's got to find 2 to 3 seconds in that time. There'll be yellow flags waving down at turn 1, double yellows waving actually, because there are men on the track. And this is Panis locking that right front wheel for the second time this afternoon, and it's virtually a carbon copy. That could almost be a replay, excepting he doesn't get away this time.
Well, the good news for Ralf Schumacher is that his brother, behind David Coulthard on the road, is lapping almost a second a lap slower than he is now, and the margin between the two of them, 34.4 seconds, more than enough time for Ralf to be able to come in for his second stop and rejoin comfortably in the lead. Into the pits then comes Montoya.
Was second, 14.8 seconds behind his teammate. Ralf still the only man now lapping in the 1:32s is Ralf Schumacher. Everybody else 33s, and most of them 34s and 35s. So Ralf Schumacher really is in the zone at this stage of the Grand Prix, building himself, I would imagine, an unassailable lead. What can Montoya do? Can he get anywhere near Barrichello and Michael Schumacher? He surely's got a chance to get past Barrichello if this stop and the rest of the afternoon works out well. Barrichello's had his second stop. Where is he? He's just coming into view, I think. I think we heard him go past the commentary box. Has Montoya got ahead of the second Ferrari? There's one Ferrari, there's the second one. Yes, it's worked.
So exactly as we were looking at it, Rubens Barrichello has dropped down into 4th place behind Juan Montoya, 5th place, I beg your pardon, behind Juan Montoya as a result of that second round of pit stops. So it's strategy working very well then for the Williams team. For once, Ross Brawn and his team of technicians, Luca Baldessari, also working behind the scenes there on strategy for Ferrari. They got it wrong in Monaco, and certainly as far as Barrichello is concerned, they got it wrong here today as well. Here's your race leader then, into the pits, lap 41 of 60, 19 to go then. And Ted, take it away.
Well, what a fantastic race Ralf Schumacher has run here. It's brilliant. He comes into his pit box, hits the marks, no problems with the stop so far. The fuel goes in. This was the acid test, this track for Williams. Success, of course, in Monaco, disappointment in Canada, but they really seem to have race-winning pace here. Good stop again for Ralf Schumacher.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ted. All of the Williams team said Nürburgring will be the real test for us. If our car works here, it'll be good for the rest of the season.
Coulthard pits from second then for his second and final scheduled stop of the afternoon. Into the garage he goes. 21 men working on the car. Stop going well. This is crucial. Can he get out before Alonso? Coulthard starts to pull away. He's going too quickly. 2 or 3 seconds lost there. That could be absolutely crucial, James, in terms of whether he can leapfrog that Renault.
Yeah, indeed. He seemed to sort of stutter and go and then stop, and obviously they had to pull the fuel hose out. So that's a bad mistake. And look at that. Oh, yes. Alonso has got back out in front of it. That's poor old David Coulthard. That little glitch in the pit stop has cost him the place. And Alonso up front. Here's another look at it.
Man with his arm up in the air, the left rear gone.
Look at this, sorry Martin, but side by side down to the hairpin. And look, Montoya cuts across Schumacher, and Schumacher spins! Schumacher is into the gravel trap. Has he kept the engine running? It certainly looks like it. The rear wheels are spinning, and, well, side by side action here.
But it's amazing, it's Montoya that should have been spinning. He was on the outside, they touched, and Michael somehow allowed his focus to transfer to the Williams rather than watch where he was, and he's saying, give me a push. He's in a dangerous position, but if he gets outside assistance, he could be penalised for that. Michael Schumacher then, look, here comes the tractor, marshals, and they are going to push him on the track. He has kept the engine running, which is crucial, and away he goes. They did well to get that off there. Normally when they're beached like that, they won't drive out themselves, but enough men heaving on the back of it, got it underway.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what the rules say about that. Certainly if the engine is still running, it would appear that that's going to be okay. A push start, well, the rules have changed this year. Let's have another look at it then, Martin.
Montoya better off the forward corner. Michael having to go defensive, and Juan Pablo says, no problem, I'll go down the outside then. Gives him just enough space on the inside, certainly in my view. And Michael then got a bit of a pendulum going on the back end of that car, and round he goes. It's so lucky for Montoya that he wasn't the man that spun. Michael just backing it gently into the gravel trap there. Here we see it from another angle. Look, he wasn't even up on the curb. There was definitely enough space, and somehow or other Michael let the car get away from him.
Michael Schumacher is still in this race. Lap 47. Ralph leaves by 16.7 seconds from Montoya. Barrichello third, fourth Alonso, fifth Coulthard, but I sense a change of foot there for fourth place, and sixth is Michael Schumacher. Lap 49 of what had been a rather static and in the last few minutes has become a rather exhilarating European Grand Prix. You've missed nothing while you were away. David Coulthard is closing down once again on the back of Fernando Alonso in the battle for fourth place. At the front, Ralf Schumacher still leads by just under 20 seconds from teammate Juan Montoya. Barrichello's third, Alonso fourth with Coulthard fifth, as we said. Michael Schumacher rejoins sixth after that spin, and he is just in front of Mark Webber in the Jaguar. We've not seen him all afternoon apart from an early pit stop. He's doing a great job once again for Jaguar in seventh place, with Jenson Button in the final points position in eighth.
Alonso, sorry James, Alonso went in too deep. It's definitely struggling under braking. Coulthard couldn't punish him for it on that occasion, but Alonso getting himself way deep into the NGK chicane and managed to hold the inside line there. Here we go again. Look, he's just gone in too deep. Knows he wants to go round the corner, otherwise he could get penalised. Coulthard's so close to losing his right front. We're on board with Coulthard. He's going to try and make hay while the sun shines there, and almost loses his right front in the middle of it. Got onto the outside dirty part and then couldn't get traction on the way out of the corner. Alonso breathed a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Michael Schumacher is cruising along, not very fast, it has to be said. He's not under pressure from behind by seventh place man Webber. He's nowhere near the Coulthard-Alonso fight, so he's just pacing along in the 134s, probably wondering himself if he's going to keep that sixth place at the end of the afternoon.
Yep, 3 points at stake here for Michael Schumacher. If he's able to stay where he is, he's 13.8 seconds off the Coulthard-Alonso scrap now, so he is closing in on it at about 3 or 4 tenths of a second a lap, but that's not really enough. With just 9 laps to go in this Grand Prix to actually do anything about passing Coulthard and picking up more points.
Yeah, we saw the tail end, I think, of Coulthard having another go down into turn one. We didn't see the action. We are about to see the action, and look, Coulthard carrying a lot more speed in, or if he doesn't run into the back of Alonso, he'll pass him or run into the back of him the way he's going at the moment. I'm not sure which. Alonso really covering his bases early, getting the car turned into the corner and blocking off the apex. So time running out for David Coulthard then to snatch that fourth place.
Villeneuve out of the Grand Prix. He was in 15th place. And we're getting a signal now from the race stewards that car number 1 and 3 are under investigation by the stewards. It's taken them quite a long time to decide to launch that investigation, seeing as that incident between Michael Schumacher and Montoya happened on lap 43, which was 11 laps ago. Here's another look at that incident. I fancy we'll be seeing this one for many, many years to come, especially if it has an outcome on this year's championship. Gentle nudge.
Montoya gave him space. Okay, there was enough space maybe for a Ferrari and the white paint on those Bridgestone tyres, but it was space, it was enough space. He could have taken to the curb on the inside, and this is one of the great all-time overtaking manoeuvres in Formula One, and it was Michael that once again nerfed Montoya's car. Montoya did nothing wrong.
The closing stages of the European Grand Prix, and we've got a massive engine blow up there for one of the Toyotas. It must be, I think it's D'Amata. Yes, it is indeed. He coasts straight on at the chicane, having blown up right in the braking zone for the chicane. It's been certainly a pretty eventful afternoon as far as the World Championship is concerned. Kimi Räikkönen took the lead at the start of the Grand Prix, driving away from everybody else, and his engine blew up. He thought he was really in trouble championship-wise. Ron Dennis, team principal. He's only going to get 6th place. That's what he's telling him.
Maybe.
That's what you call the arm around the shoulder technique of team management. Ted.
Well, I've been into Ferrari, spoken to the men there. They don't anticipate getting a fine for this, or a penalty rather. They say they're...
Whoa, Ted, sorry. David Coulthard, massively different in speed from Alonso, under braking into the chicane. What was going on then? Was it stuck throttle, do you think?
No. I think he was just getting ready to have a go at and misjudged quite where Alonso was going to brake. Alonso with clearly under braking problems, and Coulthard came with such a speed differential, and I think he'll be feeling that Alonso took the inside line and then moved one more time to regain the outside line. We'll have to see a replay of that because we were virtually on to the incident as it happened. Coulthard out of the Grand Prix, beached in the gravel trap, no points for McLaren, and here we see it. Look, Alonso goes inside and David started to move inside and basically just got a little bit too close to the back of the Renault. Here we are on board. He's going to try and go left, and just as he goes left, Alonso jinks left. David then has to drive to the right-hand side. One of those things. A difficult one to call, but clearly Coulthard very surprised by the movement on the track of the Renault. I think it's just actually personally unfortunate that he'd tried to go left as Alonso decided to cover his base.
And the differential in speed is explained by the fact that David had yet to hit the brake pedal, whereas Alonso, moving across, did hit the brake at the same time.
Yeah, it's lucky David didn't run into the back of the Renault, because it would have launched him straight into the sky.
And into the TV compound, actually, which is right on the outside of there. That would have been pretty painful. Bouncing along then, David Coulthard, into his 4th retirement of this, what is proving to be a pretty sorry season for the Scotsman. After so much promise, winning the first Grand Prix. And no points at all then for the McLaren Mercedes squad. 2 to go. We're heading for yet another 18 points for Williams BMW. They had 29 in the 2 previous Grand Prix. A win for Montoya in Monaco. 2nd and 3rd in Montreal 2 weeks ago. And now a 1-2. Williams are definitely back in the hunt. Announcing this weekend the $1 billion deal with BMW that takes them through for another 5 years after the end of the current one to 2009. It's been a really buoyant weekend, you have to say, for Williams BMW. Just another word quickly on the point situation. Nick Heidfeld, would you believe, as a result of that incident of Coulthard, is up into 8th place. He started from the pit lane in the Sauber. That's a remarkable effort for the German. His teammate Heinz-Harald Frentzen is 9th, and well, Heidfeld's been mega today, hasn't he? We haven't seen very much of him, but that's a great effort. Webber up to 6th, 3 more points for Jaguar, 2 points for Jenson Button in 7th place. That's salvaged something for them from what's been a pretty unpromising weekend otherwise. And as I say, Heidfeld picking up a point for 8th.
Yeah, so I'm keen to go back to Ted, and we were listening to him before we saw the Coulthard incident, and just hear what Ferrari think about a potential penalty for Michael Schumacher.
Well, Martin, this is what they think. They think the car was certainly in a dangerous position, so it was okay for the marshals to give him a push start. They certainly do not anticipate getting a penalty. Williams, by the way, can't believe that Montoya was under investigation for that. They reckon Michael just spun on his own.
Yes. That I would be surprised too in their part, because it was one of the great overtaking manoeuvres in Formula One as far as I'm concerned. He left Michael Schumacher enough space, but only just. He wouldn't have wanted any more paint on his tyres, otherwise there wasn't enough space and that it was Michael that was forced into the error. Montoya left him enough space to get away with it, no doubt about it. So Montoya hopefully will receive no penalty at all. Ralf Schumacher coming into the NGK chicane then, and only a little way to go, James.
Yes, indeed, coming through then to collect a victory that he thoroughly deserves. It's been a wonderful performance by Ralf Schumacher. Criticised 2 weeks ago in Montreal for not having a go. He certainly had a go today. He wins the European Grand Prix, a German on German soil. It's a Williams 1-2, and they are really in the championship hunt. Here comes Juan Montoya in second place. We'll remember his move on Michael Schumacher for many years to come. Hopefully there won't be any ramifications in the steward's room afterwards. A fantastic performance. An up and down Grand Prix. It had its static moments, but it also had its moments of high drama. The removal of Kimi Raikkonen with a blown engine, the pass of Montoya on Michael Schumacher, which put the World Championship leader into a spin. Rubens Barrichello picks up yet another podium in what has been a quietly understated season for him. But really all the talk today about the Williams BMW team. Here's Alonso, who resisted the attentions of David Coulthard in the closing stages.
But is that Michael Schumacher right behind him then? They've not been lapped, so he's got to get across the line. Yes, indeed. Alonso's got a problem of some sort. Schumacher is there for position, can you believe, in fourth. There he goes, he just makes it. Michael Schumacher up to fifth with Coulthard's demise, and Heidfeld got a point in eighth, having started from the pit lane. Webber and Button sixth and seventh. Alonso clearly with a drama on the last lap, just held off a fast closing Michael Schumacher.
And that's the first Williams 1-2 since Malaysia last year. A great way for Ralf Schumacher to celebrate his 28th birthday tomorrow. Montoya's clash with Michael Schumacher, though, the big talking point, and we'll be back with the drivers' views and Mark Blundell's verdict. Hello again. Well, what a weekend it has been for Williams. They sign a new 5-year deal with BMW, and then they pull off a superb 1-2 here at the European Grand Prix. Ralf Schumacher, still the only driver to score in every race this season, a maximum 10 today. Then Montoya, Martin Brundle's driver of the day. Barrichello third. Alonso upsetting Coulthard, but just holding off Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher passing the 1,000-point career mark. Mark Webber 6th, Button 7th in the BAR, and Heidfeld starting from the pit lane, remember, the last scorer. But harsh words after that Montoya move over Germany's driving superstar.
Ross, I suspect there's going to be some debate about that incident between Michael and Juan Pablo for quite some time. First of all, your view on the move that Juan Pablo put, were you quite happy with that?
No, not at all. I think there's some drivers who have some class about them, and Mika Häkkinen used to be one. He and Michael had some great situations that never resulted in any of them coming off the track, and the manoeuvre that Montoya pulled could have taken them both out of the race. It was just a very crude overtaking manoeuvre, and he's done it several times. And he knocked David out here last year, he knocked Michael out this year, so he's not a very classy driver in that respect.
Ross was saying that he doesn't think Juan has any class as a driver. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't think we should now talk about what Ross is saying. Is not the point. And you say what he has said. Maybe if I hear his words, they sound a little bit different. So I should hear what he has really said and meant.
I spoke to Ross Brawn straight after the race. He was very critical of your manoeuvre. How would you respond to that criticism?
And we're racing, and I had a chance to pass him, and I went for it, and it seemed to pay it off. They're probably not that happy because they didn't take as many points they were expecting, but we're racing.
Tell us about the race otherwise.
Everything. We lost. First, the start was really bad, and I lost a lot of ground. And then in the when the first pit stop, they decided to put only new rears, and it was the wrong call again. And we really got it right for the last stop. Got Rubens in the stop, and then out of the stop, got Michael.
We had a good strategy. I think we didn't have enough speed, to be honest. We were like looking at 2-3 tenths behind, and that was paying off. I mean, Juan Pablo went by me at the pit stop when he stayed one lap longer, and he was quicker, so I missed a little bit.
How did you feel then?
Well, it was difficult with the balance. I'm just happy to be back on the high points on the podium, but We still have to improve to win races this year, especially on my side.
Certainly, after the 2 pole positions, not really been able to make a win out of those. It's really satisfying today here to be out of the 2nd row. Might have been a bit lucky with Raikkonen. I don't know. I think I was catching him up after the first pit stop. We might have done it anyway, but so it was easier.
I think that we're both going to be summoned to the stewards because obviously I had a couple of incidents with him. One down at turn 8 where I ended up on the grass, and then ultimately when I went off, which, you know, my take on it is that he was obviously driving defensively, but he braked very, very early for the corner, and I just had enough time to swerve, not to hit the back of him, and then hit the brakes. So
we didn't expect to be in the points with the way we were going, really. So it's a great weekend for us to be able to get some points, and hopefully the car's going to be better next race.
So how did it come about?
Everyone fell off.
And so Michael Schumacher's lead actually increases to 7 points. Ralf Schumacher up to 3rd. Montoya now neck and neck with Alonso. Barrichello staying 6th. Coulthard 12 points adrift of that pack, and nothing for Trulli today. Meantime, in the constructors, Ferrari 13 points clear of Williams, 47 points for them in the last 3 races. What a surge. McLaren, they dropped to 3rd, Renault still 4th, Buttons 2 points lift BAR above Jordan, Heidfeld scoring for Sauber, and Webber for Jaguar. OK then, Mark, before we actually see the replays, give us your gut reaction to what happened in that instant. Michael Schumacher and Montoya.
Well, I think it was just a racing incident between Montoya and Schumacher, and in fact I think it was a really good move by Montoya, but the other side of things, where Schumacher was pushed back on the circuit, I really don't sit too comfortably with that at this point.
You see, Ferrari were very upset with Montoya just going around the outside there. You don't think they got a case?
Well, Ross Brawn seemed to be quite upset. He sort of referred to Montoya as not being a classy driver in his book, but I have to say, you know, Schumacher's done some really unclassy moves in his time. For me, Montoya did an outstanding move, and that's what it's all about. Racing drivers do that on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher didn't do it in Canada a couple of weeks ago, did it? No fears from Montoya, though.
Well, I think Williams, BMW have just picked up their pace altogether now, and Montoya here, if you just watch him, look, he goes all the way around the long way, around the outside, doesn't really squeeze on Michael at all, doesn't shift his line or anything like that. Michael just gets it a little bit wrong and ends up spinning away. And normally Montoya would have been the guy who spun off. What you've got here now, Michael's gesturing, wants pushing away. He's managed to keep his engine running.
Who's that?
Well, I don't know who that is. That's not a marshal for me. A guy in shorts and a t-shirt is not a track marshal. And that's something that needs to be looked at for sure. I don't think I'm comfortable with that fact one little bit.
Just a word from you about the winner, Ralf Schumacher.
Solid job. BMW Williams there, produced 1-2. What a great weekend for him. But you can't take it away from Ralph. He did what was needed.
And Michael still top man, though.
Still top dog, but you know, the Red Baron can't fly for much longer like that.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Mark. Back-to-back Grand Prix we have next weekend. We are in France at Manicourt for the French Grand Prix. Qualifying 11:35 on the Friday night, qualifying 1, that is. Qualifying 2 live Saturday at lunchtime. Big pre-race show. We're featuring the Renault team all weekend, by the way, from just after midday. Highlights 11:45 at ITV1. And so Ralf Schumacher emerging as a big winner here after fierce criticism in Canada a couple of weeks ago. Michael, in a spot of bother, still number 1 as we head to France. Good night, you all.